Hi guys, I've had a lot of questions about fact families, particularly from my 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in regards to how we solve equations, okay? So this has come up a few times. I taught a lesson about it, but I don't think a lot of people caught on to it. So I'm gonna try and reteach this lesson maybe a little bit differently. For parents, for those of you who are at home watching and you're like, why can't I just do it the algebraic way? It totally is understandable. And while I reteach this, it's gonna be a little bit different so that it incorporates part of that algebra, but it's also incorporating those fact families, okay? So students, definitely get out a piece of paper. You are going to want to take notes on this, okay? Make sure that this is in your video notes, whatever section that you have. Okay, so with that said, guys, we're gonna start by talking about a couple of problems here. So the first things first is you're going to do, really, you're doing the opposite. Do the opposite operation unless it is a subtraction problem. Okay, then okay, I had to pause and think about this. I want to make sure that I'm giving you the best advice possible on these. So do the opposite operation unless it is a subtraction problem with the variable in the middle. So do the opposite operation. So what do I mean by these problems, okay? Let's say that we have 27 plus k is 72. Do the opposite operation. 72 minus 27 is k, okay? I'm looking at my examples that I pulled up over here. So that's our first one. That's A, we'll call it A. B, our next example, we have L plus 36 is 37. Do the opposite operation. And when we do that, when I say do the opposite operation, you obviously want to take the largest number first, okay? So I'm going to take that 37 and minus 36. That gives me L, okay? Let's see. I need to pause the video and come up with a couple of extra ones that I think will be helpful. Bear with me. Okay, so I've got a couple of other examples. So that's B. So do the opposite operation unless it's a subtraction with a variable in the middle. So let's look at C, right? Let's try this guy. A plus 7 is 15, right? Do the opposite operation. 15, and the opposite of addition is subtraction. Minus 7 is A. And notice I picked the larger number and the smaller number, right? So 11 plus n is 15. We're going to do the opposite operation. So I'm going to take the larger number, subtract the smaller number. 15 minus 11 gives me n. Hopefully, I'll call that D, right? Hopefully that's making sense. So let's try some more. All right, so then we've got n minus 5 is 2. N minus 5 is 2. Guys, do the opposite operation. The opposite of subtraction, addition. So, and it doesn't matter if you do 5 or 2 first, because when it's addition, we can add in any order. But 5 plus 2 would give us n. So n minus 7 is 5. N minus 7 is 5. Do the opposite operation. Opposite of subtraction, 7 plus 5 equals n. Okay, so opposite operation, right? The only time it is a problem is when you have a subtraction with a variable in the middle. Let's talk about that. And before I go into that, let's just do a quick reminder. 3 plus 7 equals 10, and 7 plus 3 equals 10, right? Now, if I were to take those, these are called my addition facts. If I were to take those addition facts and turn them into subtraction facts, I would have 10 minus 7 equals 3. 10 minus 3 equals 7. So in previous lessons, I've said, look, we're adding in this direction. So we're going to subtract in this direction, meaning 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. Okay, so 10 minus 7 is 3. So our two addition facts, our two subtraction facts. Guys, look for those patterns in math. Math is all about patterns. And if you take a look here, in addition, we're allowed to flop those first two numbers around, right? Here in subtraction, we're flopping the last two numbers. Those last two numbers, this guy and this guy, this guy and this guy. Keep that in mind. So do the opposite operation unless it is a subtraction problem with a variable in the middle. then flop the last two. Flop the last two. So guys, let's do a practice on that. 9 minus n is 2. 9 minus n is 2. Flop the last two numbers. These guys right here. 9 minus 2 is n. 9 minus 2 is n. 14 minus n is 6. Flop those last two numbers around. 14 minus 6 is n. Hopefully that's making a little bit more sense. Now guys, this applies to division as well. So do the opposite operation unless, so for your next notes, this was addition subtraction. For your next notes, do the opposite operation unless it is a division problem with a variable in the middle, then flop the last two. Literally, it's the same thing, if division or subtraction. Okay, so I need to pause for a second. Okay, so I don't know how to edit videos, so I only know how to use the pause button, and I don't want to sit here and look for problems and then have to like edit that out because I wouldn't know how to do that. So bear with me with all the jumps when I pause. Okay, so now we're talking about division, right? Again, do the opposite operation unless it's a division problem with a variable in the middle. For example, a times 5 is 30. A times 5 is 30. We're going to do the opposite of multiply, which is divide. 30 divided by 5 equals 6. Or a, I should say a, right? 30 divided by 5 equals a. So let's try another example. 7 times b is 63. Do the opposite operation unless it's a division problem with a variable in the middle. So this is going to be, and this is not a division problem, so we're fine. So the opposite operation is 63 divided by 9. 63 divided by 9, divided by 7. All right, is b, okay? 8 times h is 176. Do the opposite operation unless there's a variable in the middle, unless it's division with a variable in the middle. So 176 divided by 8 is h, okay? So then let's try some division problems. Okay, so we have t divided by 15 equals 9. T divided by 15 equals 9. Do the opposite operation unless it's a division problem with a variable in the middle. Opposite operation, 15 times 9 equals t. Okay, 15 times 9. X divided by 16 equals 8. No variable in the middle, so we're going to do 16 times 8 equals x. 16 times 8 equals x. Okay, what about 144 divided by z equals 9? 144 divided by z equals 9. Division problem, variable in the middle, we got to flop. Flop these two guys around. 144 divided by 9 equals z. So we don't change it, we just flop the last two. 152 divided by v equals 8. It's a division problem with a variable in the middle, flop those two around. 152 divided by 8 equals v. Hopefully that's making a little bit more sense, guys. If you need some extra practice problems, I will go ahead and email that out, some practice ones. For those of you who are in my 7-6 class and need some extra practice problems, it's on page 688. You should be able to find practice problems there. Otherwise, I will go ahead and get some, for those of you who are not in that class, I will go ahead and get some practice problems. But hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm happy to clarify as much as I can. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.